Hello, my name is Nelsonator, and I'm here with my friend.
I'm Parish Torch.
And this is Mega Man Battle Network 6, Cybeast Gregar. So, last time we solved the incident at the aquarium. Dive Man was a big prick, but we managed to save the animals from their previous trainer that abused them and then got fired. And we're getting a bit of an intro here to, what can happen in the future. A sort of foreboding event of what we are afraid of. We see the spirits that are very similar to the statues we looked at in Central 3 of Cybeast Gregar and Cybeast Falzer. And here they are, doing something to Mega Man. But, unfortunately, Lan is showing that he's not a particularly good student and is having nightmares in class right in front of his teacher. So, I don't know about you, Parrish, but I haven't ever fallen asleep in class, at least through, up through high school. Have you ever fallen asleep in class?
Not straight fallen asleep, no. There have definitely been a couple of times, especially for early morning classes, where I'm constantly doing the head nod, jerk upright.
Yep. Yeah.
I do remember there were a couple of times where people would fall asleep in my other classes, and we would either have the teacher come up to them and drop a textbook on the ground and shock them awake, or in the case of my Spanish class, someone somehow slept not only through the end of class but also through the bell. So the teacher told us to leave as quietly as possible, and next time we came back to class, she told us all about how he woke up halfway through the middle of the next hour and realized that he was 20 minutes late to his next class of the day and ran out the door.
Nice. Because, one of them is sort of getting an immediate laugh for everyone, but the implications of that second one, where they just kind of wake up on their own and have to deal with their consequences, is also extremely funny. And also, in some ways, that's a much better lesson to teach, because, you actually have a consequence to your actions that is measurable, as opposed to just kind of getting dunked on by your friends in front of your friends. Also, hello. Who called? Mr. Quiz!
Quiz!
Quiz team! Yeah, so one of the staples that has returned from all of the previous games, there's a quiz boy. There's a series of quiz people that you can talk to that will ask you questions about out-of-game knowledge, in-game knowledge, and some of them are kind of pun, like, what kind of fish is good at that? It's a catfish! Yeah. And then here comes this question out of nowhere. I'm not prepared to answer, but apparently they're not growing pink tulips. Whoops. Well, let's do the rest of the quiz again and hopefully guess right.
I think it's very funny that, as you said, some of these are just puns or jokes about a catfish chases mouse, and then the very next one is, the riddle of the Sphinx.
Yeah. There's a couple times amongst all these games where they will ask, hey, what question is this? And if you just sort of lulled into it, you'll just be like, huh? What? What question is this? 7. Yeah, and then you'll have to start again because you do not remember what place you're at. But yeah, he gave us a book that is useless on its own, but that 8-digit number combo on the end of it, we just might find a use for that soon. We just might. Also, I'm here in Class 1-2 compound because I wasn't able to access it earlier. It was broken, and hello there.
Years of exposure to viruses turned him into a heel navvy.
Yeah, clearly. Also a specifically, red one, an especially evil version. But hey, he's selling this battler card, and he's explaining a gimmick of this game with rare viruses. Rare viruses will now show up everywhere. Just about every area of the internet, aside from, compounds like this, the Blackboard compound where they're reused, will have a rare virus hanging out in it. And there's a mini-game associated with it called the Virus Battling League. And he gave us a hint to where we could find the first one. He's just like, I don't know, go find some dogs or something. If you remember the robot dog from the very first episode, the one that was harassing that girl. That's where the first introduction to the Virus Battling League can take place. I'm going to put that off for a while, though, so that I can naturally explore the internet, naturally run into every single rare virus that I can just kind of naturally find, and then eventually I'll do a sweep to go show where they all are at, and then I will enter the league for real and, sweep through it. That'll probably come near the end of the LP, because you need access to the entire internet to get the real good stuff.
I don't think I ever really got involved with the Virus Battling League in this game, probably just because the first time I came back through, the board was broken, and I might not have remembered to go back and check up on it.
Yeah.
But I definitely remember doing the virus collecting in Battle Network 3 and having a ton of fun with that.
Yeah. In 3, it's a little bit different because you have to feed your viruses, and, you get a battle chip that allows you to call them in battle. So there's, an in-game effect to also working with it. But then in this game, there's no in-battle effect. It's just, the Battling League stuff. And the main reward from it is, along the way, you will be given, prizes for first-time clears. But then you can also win bug fragments and Zenny for winning at the various levels on repeat attempts. And it's a good way to get bug frags. There's once, the third level out of 5 is particularly good for grinding bug frags. But at the same time, we'll see that when we come to it. In the short term, however, this man is very familiar. Parrish, do you remember who this man is?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, he's Mr. Match. So, Mr. Match is a recurring character from the Battle Network games. He has appeared in every game except Battle Network 5. He even showed up in, the wonderswam games. He showed up in Network Transmission. He showed up in Battleship Challenge. He's all over the place. And here he is, talking about how he's going to be a substitute, or he's going to be a special teacher, and he's working on something for his college degree, his research. One of the other interesting things about Mr. Match is he has many different fire navies for the situation that he's currently in. So, when you first see him in Battle Network 1, he's with, a mafia organization, and he has Fireman. In Battle Network 2, he's just hanging out at the airport doing civilian stuff, and he has Heatman. In Battle Network 3, he's doing science-y stuff, and he has Flame Man. In Battle Network 4, he's sorta tied to a mafia organization, I guess, and he has Fireman. In this game, he's up and up, he's on the level, he's got Heatman. So, I love how you can sort of tell which kind of Mr. Match you're getting based on who he brings with him that day. But yeah, Mr. Match is here. We're going to go talk to him after we go grab the stuff from the classroom.
Also, I'm glad that Lan is as super trusting of strange adults as ever.
Yep. Well,
Mr. Match, what are you doing here? Oh, I'm a good guy now. Meet me in this back room of the teacher's lounge after everyone has left for the day alone.
Yep.
Also, bring all your stuff with you.
Yeah. Also, hey, she's here.
Maybe we'll get to thank her for her help at the aquarium.
Yeah. I'm sorry, we never caught your name. Who are you? By the way, I'm Lan Hikari. I'm resident good guy. You like fish a lot? She's very existential about things. But yeah, her name is Iris. She's very timid and doesn't seem to want to talk all that much, but hey, she's Iris. Lan is trying to ask questions that are very important, but he keeps getting interrupted, keeps getting diverted from actually talking to her. But she doesn't even say anything as he's going. She's just nod, goodbye. She doesn't have anything to say about this. Just, alright, see ya. Yeah, Iris is a name that is relatively important to the Mega Man canon if you've played some of the older games. We won't get into it now because it will become very noticeable what's going on later. But yeah, she's important, and currently she's just hanging out looking at fish, wondering about the meaning of life.
Well, how else would we learn that fish belong in the sea? They don't
belong
go on
in the
land.
sea. They don't even belong in rivers or lakes. They belong in the sea. But yeah, speaking about the sea and water in general, Parrish, do you remember who the equivalent of this is in Cybeast Falzer?
The first one that you do, is it Spoutman?
Yes, that's correct. Do you remember anything else about Spoutman and his operator?
Oh god, I absolutely hated having to deal with the Spoutman scenario.
Okay. Well, in Spoutman was originally introduced as Aquaman in Mega Man Battle Network 4. In Battle Network 4, him and Shuko are extremely down on their luck. Nothing works for them. And then they've entered into the Den City tournament to just kind of have some fun, just kind of do it. They're winning presumably for money, but, you know, there's fame associated with it, whatever else. Shuko's brothers show up and say, hey, we got you something to replace that old thing that goes whoosh whoosh. And Aquaman's like, wait, they're getting rid of me? So he goes out onto the net before they can say, yeah, we're getting you a new dishwasher. And then Aquaman cries, fills the internet with water. There's nothing you can really do about it. And then you have to, you talk to him, solve the issue, and then you go and fight him. In Falzer version of this game, a bunch of fish break out of the aquarium because, on top of having this student teaching or substitute teaching job, she also has a job at the aquarium. And when all the fish break out, it's Shuko's responsibility to go get them. So in lieu of whatever class that Mr. Match is doing here, she asks Lan, just like, hey, can you go do my side job for me? And Lan, trusting idiot that he is, goes to help her. So, Aquaman has to run around, catch all the fish, and, the seaside area is even flooded, so you have to, go up in a tornado or something and fly around for a bit until you catch the fish, and eventually you'll drop down if you, run out of, swimming power or something. I don't quite remember it off the top of my head because I played it once, but yeah.
Yeah, you got it exactly right. There are certain water spout tornadoes that can shoot you up high enough to catch the fish data that are swimming around the seaside area.
Yep.
And eventually he gets tired and can't swim.
Yep, and they drops back down. The original gimmick in Battle Network 4 when you're playing as Mega Man is that you have an oxygen canister, an air tank, and you have to run across bubbles. Otherwise, you're going to start taking damage if you're out of air. But yeah, it's, it exists. But here in Heatman scenarios, it's a little bit different. So, one of the interesting things about any Link Navi is that it has a special chip associated with it that shows up in the custom screen that's an attack that the Navi can use in battle. And it's just here in chip form so that you can use it in case you want to. In this case, Heatman has Heat Press, I think it's called. The other interesting thing about Heat Press is that it can be powered up by the strength of the Navi's Buster. So its base power is 70, but using Buster up increases its damage, and it's enough to kill the two Quakers in a single attack. I think every time you use a Buster up, it increases damage by 20 on the Heat Press, and I think it changes depending upon what Navi you've got. But being able to hit in a plus shape in 3 squares in front of you in pretty quick order is generally enough for Heatman to get through random encounters there. But yeah, we're here, we're out on the internet, we're looking around for the kettles. And I think, I wonder if people have anything to say about Heatman as I wander about. But now that we're in Heatman scenario, in order to facilitate the special gimmick, fire viruses show up all the time. Because the interesting thing about the kettles that show up in this scenario only is that they can only be damaged by fire attacks. So, you need to have a folder full of fire chips. If you don't have any, there needs to be a way for you to get them. So, fire viruses have been added to all areas that you have to walk through so that you can, beat them up, get fire chips for use. So I'm just looking around here because I noticed that one of the NPCs noticed, hey, you're a big Burning Man, aren't you cool? And I'm like, I wonder if other people will say anything about this. But another thing I want to note, Lan can fully synchronize with any of his custom navies, or any of his Link navies, including Heatman or Aquaman. And, That's supposed to be a special thing that he and Mega Man can do, but here Lan is doing it with anyone, so yeah, good for him, I guess. But yeah, I get a Fireburn 1G from that encounter, and I'm like, this is a program advance. It's going right in the folder. And yeah, we're going to demonstrate it eventually. But yeah, that's a lot of talking about Heatman, the scenario, the Link Navi system, Spoutman. Yeah. Got anything to add to this, Parrish?
I remember when you were looking back at the folders and you had the gift folder. Is that a second folder that you can customize, or is that a fixed folder?
That's the fixed folder. So if you are messing with your Navi customizer, and let's say you have a Mega Folder 1 equipped on the Navi customizer, and you have 6 Mega Chips in your folder. If you remove Mega Folder 1 and then like confirm it on the Navi customizer, the game will realize, hey, you can't do this. There are too many Mega Chips in your folder. You need to fix the Navi customizer before you can use this folder again. And then instead of letting you continue to use this folder that doesn't work, it'll kick you over to the gift folder or whatever you've got in that slot. The gift folder is just sort of like the stock standard basic thing. I try to go and talk to the email program here, see if he says anything. He's just like, you want to check inside the mailbox? Yep, I sure can check it as Heatman. He doesn't have anything to say like, hey, you're not Mega Man, you can't look in here. Like, he just lets it happen.
Good security.
Good security. But, like I was saying, and I've completely forgotten what I was saying. Please remind me, what was I talking about?
The gift folder.
Right.
You use your...
Right. The gift folder itself is roughly on the level of the starting folder, and we'll find more that can sort of substitute for it. That sort of strengthen up as you go. They're kind of useful, but anytime you can get one, you can generally build a better folder from it. The last one I remember being relevant because it has a couple of program advances in it that you might not be able to see otherwise, and that makes it kind of fun to work with. But yeah, we've taken care of the first Kettle virus pretty well, and now we gotta move on to level 2 in Central Area 2. I also like, every time you start one of these battles, Heatman has some sort of fire line or a quote from a movie or something to sort of start him off with. I also look through there to see, like, hey, does it show HP memories if I haven't bought them yet? And then I realize, oh, wait, I bought this guy out. It won't tell me anyway. But yeah, even old stoves are showing up here in packs of 2. So, yeah, the viruses can get a little bit tougher. Also, I like how as soon as he can't get back towards me, he decides, well, now's the time to just fire up and burn this whole area. This is the perfect time to do it. Yeah.
I mean, might as well.
Might as well. Yep. I mean, it keeps him safe for a little bit because I can't walk in front of that. It's too hot. Heatman can't do anything about it. And now the entirety of the viruses have been replaced by fire viruses. So you can end up in a bit of trouble here if you're not thinking too quickly on your feet and can end up in some trouble. But it's nice that Heatman doesn't take damage from hanging out in, you know, the fire when he's in matchbox form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was just thinking about, you know, comparing this scenario to having to deal with Aquaman or Spoutman's scenarios, his personality is generally a lot less annoying when you're not playing as Aquaman or Spoutman. I'd much prefer, playing if I would have had to play through the Gregar version. Yeah. But on the flip side, it's also just the fact that I basically dread the scenario from his first appearance in the 4th game so much.
Yep. Yeah. Part of the reason why I'm playing Gregar is because, like, some of the callbacks that happen in Gregar are to characters that have been around for a lot longer, and part of this is, like, I really like Mr. Match and Heatman here, because just look at how long his arms are. Whenever he swings for the crack shots, they're so long and goofy. Anytime you see his picture in the battle there, he's got his mouth open with a massive smile as he's on fire. Like, Heatman's just so happy to be here.
He's having a good time.
He's having a really good time.
Well, compared to Aquaman in his first appearance, where he heard a conversation between you is it Shuko's brothers?
Yep.
Their adoptive brothers or something. Where it's their classic, wait, I can explain misunderstanding, where he listens for just long enough, like, I know what you were saying about me, and they're saying, oh, she should get rid of it, constantly making that whoosh whoosh noise,
Yep.
like, man, when she wins this tournament. And then he leaves in a huff, like, I'm constantly making a whoosh noise, they hate me. And
Yep.
so he runs away from her pet, and they say, boy, that old washing machine sure is terrible.
Yep. But
And then we
yeah.
have to go through his whole scenario because he ran away right before the tournament just because he misunderstood what they were saying.
Yep. Something displayed here in sort of the last battle and the battle before it, I guess. If viruses walk between the squares of the heat press, they will take damage multiple times. And the other thing about that is when the kettles overflow with their hot water, they damage anything else around them. So those kettles were able to delete the old stove because they'd both taken enough damage to get them to fire off. The battle chips acquired from the kettles and like the viruses themselves when they appear in battle, whenever they hit 100 centigrade or take 100 damage, they will fire up like that and they will damage whatever's surrounding them. So in battles, when you see them in the future, it's a good way to, handle them, deal damage to them. And then I sit here, look at my folder that I've got, and I'm like, well, let's at least demonstrate this. If you have no fire chips at all, you can slowly gain ground if you perfectly time your charge shot as you hit these guys. But at this point, I'm just like, okay, is this enough to do this? It might not be enough. Maybe I should still hold out for other fire chips. Let's just keep charging the charge shot and go with this. It's slow, but eventually it'll work. Can you notice the fatal flaw in my plan here, focusing on these two in the front and not that guy in the back?
Well, yeah, the fact that you can't reach toward that one anyway is a problem, but...
And then I notice here, and I'm like, oh, wait. Yeah, but the Buster Up chips would have helped with me being able to sort of overcome these guys' natural regeneration. But, I just kind of wasn't thinking about that at that point. I was just like, oh, wait, maybe I should have taken care of him first. Oops. Just burn.
Sorry, go ahead.
You first.
I was going to say, it'd be interesting to see if their heat specifically decreased faster when they were at a higher temperature, because that's how it works in real life. Hot things lose heat faster than cold things.
Yeah, like the rate of flow between hot temperature to cold, to the rate of equilibration, I guess that's the word I'm going with, between temperature extremes is based on the difference in them. But in this game, it's a standard, decreasing rate. It wouldn't be, it would be much harder to get them up to, their 100 centigrade threshold if it's sort of, changed the rate it went at,
Yeah.
Also, it's much easier to program it this way.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm changing my folder back because I sort of liked the configuration it was in. And I'll be able to demonstrate just what a train arrow can do to a fire navy. The other fun thing about this is that Blast Man is somewhere out there on the internet. We could go find a powered up version of him. And I think there was a point when I borrowed Falzer from you in the past. And with this folder, this A code folder that I had set up on your game, I was able to trash Blastman SP in the 30-second time limit for an S rank. Aqua Cross is really good at just piling on damage when it needs to.
Mm-hmm.
But I sort of look around here at my choices, and I'm like, all right, let's show off a little bit. Heatman doesn't like to hang out in front of you, but he really likes that square in the back. And notice how I just took off so much of his HP by doing this. And then there's a second Train Arrow one, and I'm like, well, goodbye. Elemental weaknesses can be very powerful in this game. But yeah, I don't have an Aqua Cross to show off how insane this could be when you stack Aqua Cross against a fire navy like this. But there's, like I said, Dive Man is a water navy, and there is an Electric Cross in Gregar version, so there will be something I can do to make Dive Man, a little bit easier to fight. But at the same time, it's, yeah. Also, they're teaching you now about how heat cross works. The cross select added that new button that you can see up in there right underneath Vulcan 1 of cross select, and this is like classic heat styles of the past. Your charge shot becomes a 3 square long flamethrower, and in addition to that, it powers up fire chips by 50. So it's like these boosts that are static sort of will become less relevant as the game goes on, but for now they're very useful because any chip can be brought up to really good level. The thing about fire chips also is that there's not any multi-hit fire chips, so just a flat increase across the board is exactly what you see, a standard increase. Something unique about the cross system is that while Mega Man is in a cross, even if he gets a counter hit, he will not gain full synchro. So being able to double your damage is really good, especially when you know timings on bosses and such. So it may be worthwhile to not always immediately press the full synchro button if you know like the timings of whatever it is you're fighting. So I fight He-Man again because I was wondering what would happen if I talked to Mr. Match again, but I'm here fighting He-Man a second time, seeing if I can do even a little bit better. And it seems that the machine gun is able to knock him out of his standard thing, and then I just draw a train arrow again, back all the way up, fire it at maximum power, get a counter hit, and then he's dead. So yeah, Heatman is not particularly difficult at this point in time for this folder, but over the course of the game, he'll power up, we'll come back, we'll see him at higher strengths. Yeah. Heatman's sort of a good benchmark to, like, figure out how well you're building a folder. And if it doesn't really work out terribly well, you can just make use of the cross and all those fire chips you got from his scenario to power yourself up and do more with it. So, yeah. And we're having some kind of promotion here. We're talking about something fun that's going to be happening. A Compu Dancing Jamboree. Parrish, if you had somebody come up to you and ask if you want to attend a Compu Dancing Jamboree, would you show up?
I mean, I'd certainly have a lot of questions about what that entails.
Yeah. Especially in our world here. Like, do I just get on Twitch, turn on a webcam, and just start dancing in front of it? I mean, I can do that, but at the same time, you know. I also like how Mick and Tab here are just like, I'm going to show up, and Tab's like, I've got some other stuff to do. My shop's going to be open. Oh, yeah, I'm going to come by and buy some chips, and Tab's just like, uh-huh. Like,
he's probably said that multiple times.
Yeah. Because the strange thing is, Mick and Tab are friends, but, like, I don't feel like Tab is a friend of Lan's, you know? Like, everything's been about hanging out with Mick and stuff, but, you know, Tab just sort of ends up in the store there, and then he's just in the store. He's store guy. He replaces Igsby.
Even though he was the one who was, you know, so eager to come over and meet Mega Man, and, oh my gosh, it's you! Yeah, I never bothered to call Mick by his proper name because I don't respect him at all.
Yep. Does not respect Mick.
Yeah, that from the rest of the time that you interact with him. Like, sure, Lan said, hey, don't call me Mr. Hikari, just call me Lan. But then, yeah, from the rest of the point on for the game, there's really no personality to his interactions that I can think of.
Yep. Tab is just sort of enthusiastic, and that's about it. By the way, the chip shop is here. Are you ready for me to break the game wide open? Because I'm ready. The program here will explain the request board that's sort of that froggy shape in the background there. And then he can explain the two traders that are in this game. The number trader and the chip trader. The blue chip trader over there takes 3 chips in and gives you 1 chip out. I have many Reflector 1s because I fought many Metars, so this is a good way to turn the junk chips you've got into other chips that might be valuable. Might. The number trader takes 8-digit numbers and will give you a prize if you get them correct. But one of the things we did this morning is we talked to Quiz Boy, and we got a quiz book. Here's a number. You could remember this number, or you could do like I'm doing currently and writing it down on a piece of paper so that I don't have to remember it at all. But yeah, we'll demonstrate what the number trader can do, and also what the chip trader can do. And that's essentially going to be it for the episode here. Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, hey, this is what, the kettle guys do as their battle chip. Well, I have one of them now. It's kind of fun, but it's very situational, so I won't find that much use for it until I decide to showcase it. But yeah, what do I get out of the number trader? HP plus 50 damage customizer part. Woo, that's great.
Here's the first reference to Django.
Yep.
Gundam Soul chip at the top.
Yep. And the other thing about it is Gundam Soul 1, there's a 2 and a 3 version of it, so they get better. Anyway, I think this is the end of the video. Have a nice day. Nope. I'm still going? Yes? No? Well, this is what I get for recording these days in advance. Anyway, thank you for watching this episode of Let's Play Mega Man Battle Network 6 Side Beast Gregar. I hope you have a nice day.
See ya.